if you're getting tired of paying more than $4 a gallon for gas, you'll be happy to learn the Federal Reserve is working on a fix. For the first time in more than 3 years, the Fed is set to raise interest rates. It's a move that's meant to help curb inflation. NBC News Now anchor Allison Morris covers business and economy issues for us. She's joining us now with a closer look at what might be coming from the Fed. Hey, Allison.
Aaron, can you believe it? It's finally here. The Fed meeting we have been talking about for so darn long. So we just wanted to make sure, well, the Fed meets today before its rate hike tomorrow, that you understand what the Fed is and what it does. Take a look.
Now to those staggering new inflation numbers. Interest rates, the Federal Reserve, gas prices. The Fed is probably going to raise interest rates with the goal of tackling inflation. You think it's going to work? Inflation is at a 40-year high.
It's beef prices, it's produce, it's avocados.
Gas prices are the most expensive they've ever been.
I don't even want to know right now. I don't even look. I just flip the card.
The pandemic isn't over yet, and a war is raging in Ukraine.
It seems that nothing is now off limits.
The Federal Reserve dealing with a lot right now, but it's meeting today and tomorrow to try and get some of those things under control. But first, let's talk about what the Federal Reserve is and why a dozen of its members are meeting today. The Federal Reserve, or the Fed, is the United States central bank. It's been around for over 100 years, and think of it like a lasagna with a bunch of layers. There's the Board of Governors, 12 regional Federal Reserve banks, and the Federal Open Market Committee, which meets 8 times a year, including today. The FOMC is expected to raise its Fed funds rate, what we typically call interest rates, a quarter point tomorrow, its first hike in 3 years. Now, that doesn't sound great, but if you're tired of paying so much for everything from gas to groceries, it can help. So what happens when interest rates start going up? Inflation starts coming down, stock prices can come down too, and the cost to borrow money starts to go up. Think mortgages, car loans, student loans, credit cards, all more expensive. Let's look at mortgages, since so many people are buying homes these days. If you have a fixed rate mortgage, nothing changes. If you have an adjustable rate mortgage or an ARM, expect that rate to go up at its next reset. And if you're looking to get a mortgage, those rates should tick higher too. Now, you might have noticed over the last 2 years with interest rates near zero that your savings account basically gets pennies on all your hard-earned dollars. Expect that to improve. Certificates of deposit or CDs will pay better interest too. So how does that Fed rate hike then help with inflation? It encourages people to save money by making borrowing more expensive. We spend less, things cost a little less, supply and demand. So what happens tomorrow? Well, the Fed will wrap up its meeting and announce its rate decision at 2 p.m. in a statement that explains the decision and gives an outlook on the economy. At 2:30, Fed Chair Jerome Powell will give a press conference.
Inflation is too high, but we're going to get it back under control.
He goes by Jay, and he's had that job since February of 2018, appointed by President Trump. Chair Powell will read that policy statement and take some questions from reporters, and our 2 years of zero interest rates will be over.
So, Allison, you walked us through this. We understand inflation is at this 40-year high. We've been reporting that. What is it that makes this quarter-point increase the right increment to raise rates tomorrow?
You know, Aaron, some people might argue that it isn't, but there's one word that the Fed is taking into account here, and that is Ukraine. You've heard the expression fog of war. There is so much uncertainty about what is going on in Ukraine with our global economy that the Fed doesn't want to do anything too dramatic tomorrow that could send our economy into a tailspin and perhaps even encourage a recession. So it looks like they're going to go with a quarter point. If you don't believe me, just look at the CME group, forgive me. They have something called the Fed Watch tool. It basically tells you what the likelihood is of the Fed increase, and they are saying right now that there is a 98% chance that the Fed will hike rates a quarter point tomorrow. There it is. So everyone pretty much thinking that's what's going to happen tomorrow. The Fed doesn't like surprises, so we're not expecting any changes or for them to deviate too much from that.
All right, Allison Morris, thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks for watching.
Tomorrow morning, the American Central Bank, the Federal Reserve, will finish one of the most important meetings for decades and is expected to announce the first US rate hike since December 2018. Financial markets are fully prepared, though, because the Fed has basically told them it's coming. So last night, investors were quite comfortable and were buying, except in Shanghai, which was flat after another COVID correction. The market there is down 13.5% because of the lockdowns in Shanghai and Shenzhen. In Australia, the market went up 1.1% today with gains across the board. CSL, retailers, banks and miners. The Brent crude oil price is now below $100 US a barrel, having traded above $130 last week. Iron ore and gold also fell today, but wheat went up again. Here's a rundown of Russian commodities, the ones that are likely to be in short supply if the war goes on and sanctions are spread to things that the West would rather not do without. Russia supplies 17% of the world's wheat, 14 and 15% of the coal, close to 10% of the world's oil, 6% of the gas, and 5% of the nickel and aluminium. So if Russia was completely cut off, it wouldn't just be an oil shock. The Australian dollar snuck its nose above 72 US cents today, and finally the students are back. After 19 months of no temporary international student visas being issued, there's now been more than 100,000 over 3 months. And that's finance. Thanks for watching. You can check out more finance news by...
I used to pay $162 every month for my car insurance. Now, check out how much I'm paying.
А тем более российский народ всегда сможет отличить истинных патриотов от подонков и предателей и просто выплюнет их, как случайно залетевшую в рот муж выплюнет подонок. Я совсем не осуждаю тех, у кого вилла в Майами или на французской ривьере. Кто не может обойтись без фуагра, устриц или так называемых гендерных свобод. Но проблема абсолютно не в этом. А, повторю, в том, что многие из таких людей по своей сути ментально находятся именно так. А не здесь, не с нашим народом, не с Россией. Операция развивается успешно, в строгом соответствии с заранее утвержденными планами. У нас не оставалось другого варианта для самозащиты, для обеспечения безопасности России, кроме проведения специальной военной операции. И все поставленные задачи, безусловно, решены. Пытаясь отменить Россию, Запад сорвал с себя все маски приличия, стал действовать по-хамски, продемонстрировал свою истинную натуру. Просто напрашиваются прямые аналогии с антисемитскими погромами, которые устраивали нацисты в Германии 30-х годов прошлого века.
І працювати кожному на своєму місці, кожному, в тому числі нашим представникам, нашій делегації у переговорах з Російською Федерацією. Це важливо, складно, але важливо, тому що будь-яка війна завершується угодою. Зустрічі тривають, як мені доповідають, позиції на переговорах звучать вже реалістичніше. Проте ще необхідний час, щоб рішення були в інтересах саме України. Граждане России, любой из вас, кто имеет доступ к правдивой информации, уже мог осознать, чем закончится это. Эта война для вашей страны позором, бедностью, многолетней. І працювати кожному на своєму місці, кожному, в тому числі нашим представникам, нашій делегації у переговорах з Російською Федерацією. Це важливо, складно, але важливо, тому що будь-яка війна завершується угодою. Зустрічі тривають, як мені доповідають, позиції на переговорах звучать вже реалістичніше. Проте ще необхідний час, щоб рішення були в інтересах саме України. Граждане России, любой из вас, кто имеет доступ к правдивой информации, уже мог осознать, чем закончится эта война для вашей страны. Позором, бедностью, многолетней изоляцией, очень жестокой, репрессивной системой, которая будет относиться к гражданам России точно так же бесчеловечно, как к украинцам относились вы.
God knows quitting smoking is freaking hard. You get advice like, just stop. Go for a run. Go for 10 runs. Run a marathon. Instead, start small with Nicorette, which can lead to something big. Start stopping with Nicorette.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube.
Of a strong and powerful earthquake in Japan. We've received some pictures now, and I can give you a little bit more detail. A tsunami warning indeed has been now issued in Japan after this powerful earthquake, which measured 7.3. Now the earthquake struck off the northeast coastline of Japan, but this has repercussions, and as you can see, many homes in Tokyo and other places have lost power. At least 2 million homes have lost power, some in the capital, Tokyo. As I say, the epicenter of this earthquake was off the coast, but a metre-high wave is expected to hit land, and people have been warned to move away from coastal areas because of fears of a tsunami. But I think these pictures give you a sense of the strength of that earthquake.